Welcome, English 1 students. My name is Miss Adams. I'm going to take you through the poem that you just heard at the end of that documentary. You would have heard Robert Mitchum himself actually reading this poem at about 17 minutes in. So, the first thing I want to do is we're going to look at this top section and read that just to get some background information. Then we're going to read through the poem for understanding, then we'll read through it again to annotate, and then we will look at these guided reading questions on the bottom. Alright, so I want you to turn your attention to this top part where we're going to read some background information about Robert Mitchum, who's right there. Robert Mitchum was an American film actor, director, author, poet, composer, and singer. At the age of 12, Mitchum had to leave his family due to lack of food and traveled throughout the country on railroad cars, taking a number of jobs, eventually riding the rails to California. He became one of the Depression-era's wild boys of the road. He wrote the following poem at the age of 15 while traveling across the country. Alright, I'm going to get out a highlighter to highlight anything that I think is important in the poem. If you do not have a highlighter, just underline along with me. With my shaded, sad hope in my telltale eyes, and the fleet fears trapped within my breast, there is no last mercy, there is no last lies, for my sweet, dumb dreaming is confessed. Trouble lies in sullen pools along the road I've taken. Sightless windows stare the empty street. No love beckons me, save that which I have forsaken. The anguish of my solitude is sweet. Alright. Okay, we're going to go back through the poem. This time we are going to annotate main ideas, associations, making connections. So I'm going to put main idea on one side and associations on the other side. Shaded, I know, means covered. Sad, hope. Alright, so this is an oxymoron. So it's two words next to each other that mean opposite things. So I'm going to write oxymoron. It's a literary device. Alright? And we're getting this idea of bitter, sweet, which is also an oxymoron. So he is both sad, and another word for sad is somber. And he's hopeful. Another word for hopeful is optimistic. In my telltale eyes and the fleet fears trapped within my breast, there is no last mercy, there is no last lies, for my sweet, dumb dreaming is confessed. So he's saying his sweet, dumb dreaming. That is also an oxymoron. So two words put together that mean opposite things. So his dreams bring him pleasure, but he knows that they are dumb. Maybe they're unrealistic, alright? So he's dreaming about something unrealistic. I'm going to write that off to the side. Unrealistic. It might not happen. So I'm making a connection here. Then I see along the road I've taken. So I know that he's traveling, and I know that Mitchum wrote this, and he left his family himself. So I have this idea that he had to leave his family behind. So I'm going to start adding to my main idea. I'm going to say the speaker travels. Right? I see that road I've taken. The speaker travels. Let's say away from home. Because as I get down here, I start to see no love beckons me save that which I have forsaken. So this word save also means accept. So no love beckons me except that which I have forsaken, which can mean leave or left. So no love, and beckons means calls. No love calls to me except that which I have left. So the only people he cares about, he had to leave. So if he had to leave them, he probably feels isolated and empty. And I'm going to add a vocab word here, forlorn. So forlorn is this idea of lonely. All right, this last line says, the anguish of my solitude, the pain of my loneliness. Oops, sorry guys. Is sweet. All right, that kind of contradicts itself. The pain of my solitude is sweet. So that kind of brings us back to this idea of bittersweet. So the speaker travels away from home and has to leave his family behind. Alright, so we have annotated the poem. Now what I would like you to do is I want you to pause the video and try and answer the guided reading questions below. Don't just play the video and get the answers. Really challenge yourself to see if you can answer these questions without help. Then I want you to come back to the video and double check your answers. I'll see you in a minute. Alright, welcome back. So, for the first question, you should have answered that the main idea of the poem is that the speaker journeys away from home and leaves his family behind. I literally took what I wrote here for my main idea and I used it to answer my question. The next question asks, why did Mitchum include the final line of the poem? Well, I noticed that in the final line he talks about how his pain and loneliness is sweet. So I have that idea of a contradicting emotions, all right? So contrasting feelings, sad and happy. So I wrote, Mitchum includes the final line of the poem to emphasize or stress the contrasting emotions he feels when making a sacrifice for his family. I used that background information up here that said he had to leave his family due to the lack of food and traveled throughout the country. So he sacrificed himself and his livelihood and ability to have food so that his family would have more food. The third question, what is the primary purpose of Mitchum's poem? So why did he write it? The primary purpose of Mitchum's poem is to show the type of sacrifices people had to make during the 1930s and the impact it had on individuals and families. The type of sacrifice is that he left his family so that they could thrive and be successful and they had enough food. And the impact that it had was that he felt happy and hopeful that his family would have a better chance of making it through this hardship, but sad and empty that he had to leave the people he loved behind. So if you had answers that looked anything similar to mine, good job. Again, make sure that anytime you're answering a question, you are using complete sentences. Alright, so now you're going to move on to task 3, and you're going to do the exact same process with an article. You're going to read, annotate for main idea and associations, and then answer the guided reading questions. Good luck!